Hey everyone, just at Heathrow Airport, about to go on my next adventure. Let's see where I'm going. And welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a while. I have been working hard behind the scenes, but make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notifications tab, because then you'll be told when I put up my next video. I'm going to be talking all about New York today. I have been waiting to do this vlog for a very long time. I love New York and I've been there 13 times. Now, they say New York is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I completely agree with that. The reason I've been there 13 times is nothing to do with the fact that I'm super rich and I can afford to go there all the time. It just so happens that I have family that live in the neighboring city of Philadelphia. And so every time I go to Philadelphia, I sort of pass through New York. I've been in January, I've been in the summer, I've been in May, I've been in March, I've been in December. So I can literally tell you about New York no matter what time of year it is. Now, I have to let you know that all the videos and the photos that I'm going to be sharing are not over one trip. They're over a couple of different trips where I've done different stuff, but I'm just going to be telling you about everything, and I will tell you what time of year I done certain things so that you know what the weather's like at the time. But New York is an amazing city, and even in winter, when it is pouring down with rain, you can still enjoy New York. I can promise you that. So I'm so excited about this, and I hope you are as well. So the first thing that I want to tell you about is traveling around New York City. Now, we've all seen those films, the Hollywood films, where you see someone stick out their hand and hail a taxi, and the yellow cab pulls up and they get in and they tell them where they want to go. In reality, yes, you can do this, but realistically, it becomes very expensive if you get a cab everywhere. It also isn't the best thing because there's traffic in New York City, just like London. So you don't want to be traveling in the cab all the time. The best thing I can suggest is get on the metro, because if you get onto the metro, you'll be able to go from A to Z really quickly. It's just like the London Underground, and I believe it's just as easy to get your head around the whole map. So get yourself a metro map, buy yourself a metro card. The metro card is a bit like the Oyster, and you can buy a 7-day pass if you're there for 7 days, or if you're there for less time, you can just top it up as you go. And I believe it costs around $2 per trip every time you get on the metro. So top it up with about $20 to start with, and then see how you go. Day one in New York City. We're heading down to Ground Zero, and we're going to go down to the museum and check it all out. The first place that I want to talk about is Ground Zero. Now, I've seen Ground Zero grow from when it was the Twin Towers. I was there 2 weeks before they got knocked down. I then went there a few years after, and I saw it all grow into the amazing area it is today. It's got the museum around there, and they've got the infinity pools, and that's what I want to talk about. So let's head over and see what there is to do at Ground Zero. On the subway on our way to the World Trade Center, it's so different to the London Underground, just as dirty though. So the thing about being here is so surreal, because I actually visited the World Trade Center literally 2 weeks before they were blown up, and now I've been back and I've seen this grow from nothing to this pool you can see behind me. I also suggest that if you want to visit the museum, book your tickets in advance. That line we're walking past is everyone waiting for their tickets, but we had ours, so we could walk straight in.
Regardless of where else in the world you were, you were there at that moment. September 11, 2001.
No day shall erase you from the memory of time. Can you imagine? These are all the people that lost their lives, and this is only one wall. There are about 4 of these walls. This is one of the fire engines from the rescue of 9/11. It just goes to show how bad things really were that day. The whole Ground Zero area and the museum, you know you want to go there, right? But let me tell you about something else around that area. One year when me and my mum were visiting New York, we went round a corner around Ground Zero and we bumped into this old beautiful church, and I realized this was St. Paul's Chapel. Now, what is so good about St. Paul's Chapel? Well, when we went inside, we realized that whilst everything else was dropping and burning around it, this tiny little church stood there during the 9/11 attacks. It did not get burned down, it did not fall to pieces, and in fact, they lined up loads of beds for the firefighters to go and rest in while they were on the rescue mission. So they would go there, have a rest, grab some food, and get back out to Ground Zero to try and find more bodies and more people and rescue more people. And that is what's so amazing about this particular chapel. They've actually named it the Chapel That Stood because it really did stand the time. So let's go have a look at it. As you walk towards the church, you suddenly realise what I mean by the big buildings around it that are standing really high, and how this church could even survive all that. So although I'm not a Christian, I'm Hindu, every time I go to a church or cathedral, I like to light a candle for all those that need help, all those that need rescuing, all those that just need some sort of prayer said for them. So if you don't go to the museum, inside the church you will be able to see some photos of some of the firefighters and some of the artifacts that they recovered from 9/11. Here are some of the badges of the policemen and firefighters that fought to rescue others. St. Paul's Chapel, amazing, and they've got so many little artifacts in there that are not in the museum but are in the chapel instead. But something else around that area that you need to do while you visit there is a shop called Century 21. Why am I talking about shopping? Well, first of all, if you're traveling from the UK, you're going to save tons of money by traveling to the US and spending money in dollars rather than in pounds. But in Century 21, think of a discount store, because that is what it is. But yes, America has the best outlets, and I can't even say they don't because I love going outlet shopping. However, Century 21 has some really good deals. And if you're not traveling the rest of America and you're only going to New York, then head down to Century 21. They have some great brands like Michael Kors, Calvin Klein, Guess, Gucci, and you can buy handbags, you can buy watches, you can buy clothes, you can buy suitcases, you can buy scarves, you can buy literally everything in Century 21. It is over quite a few floors, so give yourself a bit of time, but I can guarantee you that you're gonna love shopping there. So the next thing we're going to talk about are the views in New York City. Now we know that New York City is known as the concrete jungle, but it has some amazing views and some awesome skylines. So the 3 main ones are the top of the rock, which is near the Rockefeller Center, the Empire State Building, and the One World Observatory. I'm going to go with that one. That's where the Twin Towers used to be. Now, in my eyes, all 3 are different views and they're all worth a look. However, if you're tight on time and you're tight on budget, I would go with the Empire State Building. It's the oldest view in New York and it is one of the best. So make sure you book your tickets in advance and head on up there. But I'm going to show you all 3 in this video. So let's go check out those views of New York City. So it's day 2 in New York City. Yesterday the rain sort of killed us. So today we're hoping we're going to be able to get to the Empire State Building, Rockefeller Center, Paley Center, and so much more.
Welcome to the world's most famous building, and you get to see it built. Keep your arms and legs inside and keep your eyes open. See those hot rivets flying through the air? Nice catch, Lou! Get those planks out. All right, we're coming up to the 80th floor. You're headed to the top of the Empire State Building right here in the heart of New York City.
My cousin made me walk up the stairs. I was not happy about that. The views made up for that though.
I hope it's your strong yourself So we've gone from the top of the Empire State Building to the top of the rock where you can see Central Park behind me.
We went from actually being on the Empire State Building to being directly opposite the Empire State Building. Time to head back down again and over to the One World Observatory. Now this I actually visited in January, so as you can tell, the weather is pretty rubbish outside. So now that you've seen all the views from the top of the rock, the One World Observatory, I've done it again, haven't I? And the Empire State Building, let me just tell you that if you don't go and see all the views, at least head down to the Rockefeller Center, and I'll tell you why. Do you remember the film Home Alone? Of course you do, right? You remember Kevin getting lost in New York? Well, the Rockefeller Center is where that amazing ice rink with the big Christmas tree was. So just go down there, it will bring back so many memories. And another area that will bring back memories is from the same film and the Plaza Hotel where Kevin actually stayed and racked up that whole bill. That is right next to Central Park, and you definitely want to go and see Central Park. Take a day out and either cycle around the park. If you don't have as much time, maybe walk around parts of the park. You won't be able to walk around the whole park, it's way too big. Or take a horse and cart ride. If you're there in winter, you won't be able to cycle, it'll be way too cold, but you can take a horse and cart around the area, and that is just as beautiful. Gossip Girl like I am, then one thing you'll want to check out while you're near Central Park is the Empire Hotel. Yes, Chuck Bass's hotel. It's just outside Central Park. Just Google it, you'll be able to find it, and you'll be able to go and see that as well. So the next thing we're going to talk about is my favourite part of New York City, the Statue of Liberty. I've got my Little Miss Piggy t-shirt on that says New York rules because New York does rule. Now the Statue of Liberty, I've got to tell you, my top tip about that is book your ticket in advance. You don't want to be waiting 2 to 3 hours in a queue just to get your ticket and then have to wait to get on the ferry. So if you've booked in advance, you just have to go through security and straight onto the ferry. You may have to wait a little bit, but it's okay, you won't mind. Once you're on that ferry, head over to Staten Island to go and check out the statue. If you've booked to go up into the crown, that's pretty cool. If not, you'll still be able to book to go up to the pedestal, which is a great view of New York. And I would also suggest that if you're a fan of history and you want to know how people had to get through the border to get into America, head down to Ellis Island. There's a beautiful museum there that you can go and check out. You can grab some food at the cafe and you can chill out there as well. But Statue of Liberty, let's head on over. So today we're going to my favorite place in the world. We're going to see Libertas, or as you say in American, the Statue of Liberty, the Charging Bull, Wall Street, South Street, Seaport, and everything else there. And we've also got our matching hoodies on. Yay! When you come off the ferry after seeing the Statue of Liberty, head down to Wall Street. It's right opposite. There you'll find the Charging Bull, also known as the Wall Street Bull, which is a bronze sculpture that stands on Broadway just north of Bowling Green in the financial district of Manhattan. Now this is a 3,200 kg bronze sculpture which depicts a bull, the symbol of aggressive financial optimism and prosperity. The Charging Bull is a popular tourist destination and draws thousands of people a day, symbolizing Wall Street and the financial district. It has been there since 1987, a whole year before I was even born. So the other thing that I mentioned was a place called South Street Seaport. You can go here during the day or you can go in the evening. It's a nice little area near the river and it's like little cobbled streets and stuff. When you get there, you won't believe that you're still in New York City. It is just such a beautiful area. There's lots of shopping there. There's lots of food and dining places there. You can go there just to grab drinks. If you know anyone in New York and you're going to meet them, maybe get them to meet you near South Street Seaport and just go and have a nice fun evening. Especially if it's in the summer, it'll be nice and warm and you'll be able to watch the river as you're sitting there having a drink. Also from the South Street Seaport you can see views of Brooklyn Bridge and Manhattan Bridge. Funny story about this area, a few years ago me and my cousin were there and we were on one of those big bus tours. We weren't actually paying attention and jumped on the wrong bus and ended up heading down Brooklyn Bridge towards Brooklyn. Luckily for us, the driver felt sorry and stopped for us and we managed to hail a taxi and make it back to where we needed to go. It is definitely a beautiful area though. If you have time, take a walk through Chinatown as well. It's pretty much like Chinatown in London, but of course in the USA. Another thing that I really enjoyed when I was in New York that I hadn't done before was the NBC tour. It really makes you feel like you are behind the scenes in one of these American TV shows. So if you get time, make sure you go down and do that NBC tour. You can take pictures like this one and pretend that you are a host of a TV show. Also, there's a place called the Paley Center, P-A-L-E-Y. Google it. If you've got time, head down there. If you used to watch a lot of the programs on Nickelodeon, like Rugrats, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Hey Arnold, Sister Sister, they have a whole library of all those old school TV shows, and you can sit down and watch them for a very small nominal fee.
So of course I've left the best till last, Times Square. Now Times Square, there is hustle and bustle all day long, whether you go during the day or whether you go in the evening. Now if you do go during the day, I would suggest to still go to Times Square one evening, maybe book a restaurant there. You can get all the big chains there. You've got things like Hard Rock Cafe, TGI Fridays. There's also a place called Dave & Buster's, which I'll show you.
It is just like Trocadero used to be, loads and loads of games where you can win all these points and then you can buy stuff with your points.
I have to say, with this particular game, it didn't matter how hard I tried. Can you see the frustration? I still was rubbish. I don't think I got any of the balls into the basket. I was much better at this game. It's one of my favourites. Although my cousin beat me, it's fine, I'll let it go. While you're around Times Square, just take time to walk around. You'll see things like the M&M store, Hershey's store, you'll see this cool Christmas shop which is round the back, and there is just so many things to do there. It really does remind you of Piccadilly Circus. Whilst you're in Times Square as well, please don't forget to go up onto the famous red steps. Take a picture up there. It looks awesome, trust me. One thing I urge you to do while in New York is go and see a Broadway show. It may feel like you're just going to a London theatre, but let me tell you that some of the shows don't end up making it to the UK. Book your tickets in advance if you're on specific timings. If not, try and bag yourself a deal. Some of the ones I've seen over the years are Spider-Man, Legally Blonde, and now Mean Girls. Food in the USA is absolutely insane and the portions are huge. If you are a foodie, then I suggest do your research in advance as to what places you'd like to visit in New York to make sure that you get them in. There are so many things that you can't get here in London, but let me tell you a few of the places that I suggest that you need to try. Fast food wise, I'd say Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A and Shake Shack. Don't forget Dunkin' Donuts, Carlos's Bakery, and there's a cute little Magnolia Bakery which is near the top of the rock. Check that out as well. Other chain restaurants I suggest you try while in New York are Olive Garden, the Cheesecake Factory and Red Lobster. The last one is Outback. It is a steakhouse and it's something new that I found recently and I love it. This bread they serve is insane. Does my face tell you how much I love it? I took my cousin there, not to the one in New York, but somewhere else, and she agreed with me. It is so good. So make sure you try Outback Steakhouse. I can't even tell you how much you'll love this bread. And also some great desserts. This one was a boomerang fondue. They also have some great barbecue tableside restaurants in New York. This one was a bit more upper class and expensive and has views of Empire State Building. The walk is walking. There's also some great breakfast places, much like we have in London in New York City. But if you're ever stuck, there is normally a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts on every single corner, so you'll never be disappointed or hungry. There's also this cute little area called Little Italy. Definitely go down there if you have time. They do these amazing Italian desserts as well as so much great food.
The last thing I want to talk about is the time that you should fly to New York and where you should stay. Now, if you're leaving from the UK, the best thing for you to do is take a flight between 10 AM to 2 PM. Any of those times is good, and I'll tell you why. It is the easiest way to combat jet lag. You do not want to be jet lagged when you're in New York City. So let's say, for example, you take a 12 o'clock flight. You're going to get to New York at 8 PM UK time. It'll take you a while to get through immigration and get your bags and get out and get to your hotel, by which point you're going to be shattered. But it's still only early evening in the US. So you go to the hotel, grab some food, eat and get to bed. You will be up so early the next morning. However, that day, take it easy, go and do some sightseeing, come back to your hotel, have dinner early, go to sleep. By the next day, I promise you, you will not have any jet lag. It will be gone completely.
So there are 3 main airports surrounding New York. There is Newark, JFK and LaGuardia. It doesn't matter which one you fly to, but just check at the time of year when you're booking, because the flights seem to vary depending on the time of year as to which airport is cheaper to fly to. Of course, if you're staying in Newark, then try and book a flight that takes you to Newark rather than JFK and then trying to travel across Manhattan to get to your hotel.
Hotels is the final thing I want to talk about. Everyone always asks me, where shall I stay when I go to New York? There are 3 places: Queens, Manhattan or Newark. Now, if you stay in Manhattan, that's the best thing. It's right in the heart of everything and you won't have to travel much. If you are staying in Manhattan, book a decent hotel. 4-star is the best because you'll get
good quality sleep, you'll have nicer beds, you won't be able to hear the sound outside because Manhattan can be very noisy. 3 stars are normally okay as well. However, don't worry about booking breakfast. If the breakfast is not already included in the price, don't bother booking it. There is a coffee shop on every single corner, literally every corner you go to. So you don't need to worry about breakfast. You'll be able to get breakfast very easily in New York City. But if you can't afford to stay in Manhattan, it depends on the time of year, right? Because sometimes it can be a bit more expensive. Then head over to Newark. Now, if you stay in Newark, book somewhere that has a shuttle service that will take you back to the airport, Newark Airport, or to Newark Penn Station. From there, it is very easy to jump on a train that will take you across back to New York City. And the reason I say that is because a lot of commuters live in Newark and the train system is very simple. You cannot get lost, and if there's a shuttle service included, it'll be very cheap for you to get to the train station to then make your way across into New York.
So I know at the moment, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we're not actually able to travel to New York. However, I was just looking up dates for next May, that is May 2021. And as you can see, there is a massive price difference between staying in Manhattan and staying in Newark. And that's why I say just double check the prices of the hotels before you book, as it is not that difficult to travel from Newark into Manhattan.
So guys, that's the end of my New York vlog. I really hope you enjoyed my journey through New York, and if you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications button, because it will let you know when I've got another video up. And one thing that I'm going to be doing is learning how to make different dishes from the countries that I've visited. So of course, New York being the first one, a big thank you to Chef Vallisa from Vallisi's Green Cuisine, because he's teaching me how to make some New York sliders and fresh fries. So I'm super excited about that. I can't wait to share that video with you. And then when I do my next vlog, I'll be telling you what I'll be cooking then. So make sure you comment below if you've got any questions or any comments or things that I should do differently. Please do let me know. I would love to hear from you. See you soon. Bye.